apologize. Welcome everybody to another great episode of the story of Carmen Hernandez. Right here in Bouey Films. Hit that subscribe button for me. If you guys really fuck with me, hit that subscribe button. If you my homies, all my hoes out there, hit subscribe. Bad bitches, single ladies, all of y'all, hit subscribe right now. We want to make sure we get those subscribe numbers up to keep creating the type of content you guys deserve. Make sure you check Bougie Films out. We got something for everybody. Some for the ladies, some for the streets, some for the ladies in the streets and in the sheets. So hit subscribe. Without further ado, we are here for the one, the only. This season is all about her, Carmen Hernandez. Carmen, what's going on?
Nothing much. I just came back from the gym. I feel bad because I didn't do enough. And then I got bloated. So here we are today. It's a great day.
Now, we do not condone the use of drugs here on Bougie Films. However, marijuana is legalized in the 50 states and California, and Puerto Rico. Sorry, I apologize. That being said, though, Carmen is not the only person under the influence here tonight. My co-host, some of y'all may know him, some of y'all may not know him, has a tragic past with a little something called crack. Who was on crack? Okay, you see the white on his lips? That's not from being ashy. Anyways, he still gets bullied by little kids. Ladies and gents watching, my co-host, Michael Bouey.
Well, thank you, Manny, for having me here. I was just curious if you also went to the gym, Manny, but you weren't going there to work out. I'm sure you were going there to clean up after everyone left at the end of the night. What you do after the restaurant job. So here it is. Here it is, the climax, episode 4, story of Carmen. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Like I said, I went to the gym. I'm doing great. You know, I saw my niece for not the first time, but I've seen her a couple times. But shout out to my brother. Shout out to my niece that was just born. New member.
Is your niece the same height as Manny? How old is she?
Well, first of
all, I think she's a little bit taller.
Your niece is a little bit taller? How old is she?
What the fuck is going on?
She just turned 1 month. She's about to turn a month.
She turned a month? Oh, and she's already taller than Manny. That's good to know. I already assumed it, but you just confirmed it, so thank you so much for that. So, moving into your story, we covered a lot. We covered your elementary years, we covered your middle school years, we covered your high school years. So here we are, moving into that next segment of your life. How hard was it graduating high school, and what was that experience like?
Graduating high school I had a great time in general, but I feel like graduating felt really good just because the standards were in my family.
Did you have a ratchet graduation party?
No. I wish I did. That sounds fun, but no. We just went to dinner and just went home, but it was really, really fun, yeah. So all of my family was there.
What year did you graduate in?
I graduated in 2017 from Huron High School.
What was your GPA?
Damn, you need blood type too, or?
For real, damn.
Y'all related and shit.
Damn.
Listen, the people want to know. The people want to know. They deserve to know. This is the story of Carmen Hernandez. We need to know.
People suck it. Okay.
That's coming from her, not us. We need you guys to subscribe. She's blown, so we don't want any affiliation with that, with the story of and the host here. We love you guys. We love you. We're not blown.
All right. Moving forward, Michael. Moving forward. Let's talk about after high school. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to discuss the GPA. That's fine. What was your train of thought leaving high school? What was your mentality leaving high school?
I was so happy at the time to leave high school just because I was so ready. Listen, okay, GPA. Hear me out. It wasn't high, but it was good enough to where
I'll tell you what is high.
Anyways, I applied for colleges and I got in, right? But I decided that I didn't want to spend so much money at a university and stuff, so I wanted to go to Washington Community College first. So I did, and I had a scholarship, and then I had another one from WCC as well. So like a couple of years were paid for me, yeah, and it was really nice. So the transition was really weird just because I didn't take high school seriously. At the end, I feel like I just didn't care because I didn't feel like anything I would do or like try to prove to my family was ever going to be good enough. So I was like, okay, I'll try, but like the bare minimum. So I did try the bare minimum, and obviously that's the only thing that you need to graduate high school here. But it was great, and I had a great time graduating, and then transitioning to like a university and having to be dealing with professors and like group projects actually mattered and actually affected my future. It was kind of hard to transition from, taking it not as seriously to having to. So it was hard.
What were you going to college for? Like, what were you trying to become?
So initially I had gone in for nursing, but that didn't work out because it's so competitive and it's so expensive. Well, for me at the time, and it just wasn't something that I was looking forward to. I wanted to like go into something where I would want to actually put money and try my best at something that I would be able to use in the future.
Housekeeping.
Anyways, we're just gonna.
I can't. I
didn't know
can't.
that was
I had.
serious.
I had to sneak it in. I love you so much,
No.
but still, I had to go in.
Bro, I'm roasting you at once. I don't even. It's just a joke. But I'm gonna kick your ass.
I'm fired up. It's episode 4. Let's go. Let's
I guess
go.
ladies and gentlemen, we are on crack here. I guess we still do crack.
Um, but yeah, college was a lot harder, and I don't know. I really liked it though because I had all this freedom, and that's when like my mom would leave me her car, and it was like on the same road as the community college, so it would just be right there. But I had a lot more freedom than I did in high school, and I just really liked it. And I liked the classes and stuff at WCC, but I went through a lot in the beginning years of my college because I only went for like 2.5 years. But in like the first year, I went through like something where it like I didn't know. I say this a lot, but I just, at the time when it's happening, I'm the type of person that when something traumatic is happening in front of them, I don't even notice that it's traumatic. You know what I mean? I just like brush it off. No, this is normal because I grew up in such like that type of environment growing up. You know what I mean? So I just realized later that it was something that was like, hey, like this has affected your mental health a lot more than you think, and I didn't realize it until like time had passed after.
Like what are you referring to? Are you referring to something that happened before these college years or during these college years? During these college.
Yeah.
Okay, is it something that we need to speak on right now, or should we save it for later? Wink, wink.
Um, no, I feel like it happened, in my first college year. So it
Okay.
definitely on like even today. So I feel like a big part, yeah, if I did say it, and I'm very open to, letting you guys know.
Of course.
Yeah, for sure. So I had a lot of friends growing up here in, this city, and we all know each other. So I knew a lot of like the Hispanic community, and I had a friend, and we had hung out prior, like a couple of times. Like I've known him for a while since I was like my middle school, early high school years, and he is so like talking about it right now. You don't notice that it affects you that much until like someone asks you about it, and then you're like, hold up, like you have to think about it. But no, it's just something that I advocate for now. Is definitely like gun control, and I think he was like just mentally unstable. He came to my house. He was like texting me before he came to my house, but I like told him he was texting weird, and I knew there was something wrong. So I like asked him, I'm like, hey, like, are you okay? Like, you normally don't talk like this. You know what I mean? Like, do you need someone to be there for you? And he was like, yeah, I do. And then he's like, I'm coming over. And I was like, okay, like, you need someone to talk to like that bad? It was like 1 a.m.
Were these like, was he like sending like depressive texts, like I'm gonna kill myself, or?
Yeah. So he was
Okay.
like, about like his family. I know he didn't have a good relationship with his family, which is like the things that he would vent to me before, when I like vent to him back and stuff like that. After that, we really didn't talk, and he just like texted me out of the blue, and he was like, "Let's talk business," and I was like, "Okay, like what do you want to talk about?" And I was like, "Bro, what does that even mean?" He wasn't like explaining himself, and that's when I asked. I was like, "Hey, like this isn't like you. Like, are you good right now?" And he told me that like stuff about his family, that he was just not having a good relationship with his family right now. And I was like, oh, like damn, like I'm sorry for like I growing up, you know how you guys, I keep telling you guys, hey, like I didn't have anyone there for me, like no one, I no one listened. So right now, and to this day, when that was happening, I feel like if I can listen to someone and be there for someone regardless of what they're going through, if it just means that they'll talk to me or vent to me, like I'm more than open for someone to do that, even if I don't know you like that. So he like came to my house, and I noticed something was wrong, because when he was like walking up to, I lived in an apartment at the time, he was walking up to like the apartment building, and I could tell that like something was wrong, because he was like smoking a blunt, but he was smoking the end of it, so it was like a roach. He like threw it out, and he had like alcohol, like vodka, because what else is it going to be if it's like clear substance in a Fago bottle, you know what I mean? Like what else would you have in it was clear, like
Rubbing
chuggy.
alcohol,
Cream soda,
Sprite.
It wasn't fizzy.
water.
It was fizzy because he was drinking it, and it,
No, well, okay, we get it. You can tell when somebody's intoxicated.
yeah, my assumption was that he was intoxicated. He was very like that, you know what I mean? And then I just that something was off, so I like had sweatpants on, and I put like a screwdriver in between my sweatpants and like my shirt and like my skin. And the behind though, right? So I was like, bro, like he's like giving me the heebie-jeebies. Like I wasn't like,
How
hey,
well
bro,
did
like
you know him?
I knew him fairly well. Like I mentioned, he would vent to me, and I would vent to him about things that were going on in each other's lives.
So what made
And
you so scared just because of the way that he's
I
acting?
just had I had a feeling, because I was like, the way he's texting isn't normal. Like something's going on right now, and I don't know what it is. I feel like he was fucked up already when he was like texting me. So I already had an idea that something was going on. But when he came over and he like walked in, he's like, hey, I I'm trying to remember exactly what he was saying, but I just felt like the uncomfortable. Like I felt something, like something was wrong in that moment. You know what I mean? And just like a lot of people say this when they say that something traumatic happened to them like this. And he was like talking to me, but I remember that he was asking me if we could go inside my house. And it was like I said, 1 a.m. So he knew that I lived with my parents, and I was like, no, we cannot go into my house. Like my mom will hear us talking. Like I'm just trying to be here for you. Like what is it that's going on? Like what's going on? You know what I mean? And he was like, oh, okay, like we just need to go somewhere. And I was like, oh, okay, like you need to talk in private. Like we can't talk in like this building, but okay, we had like a laundry room in that apartment building, and it was on the first floor, and I lived on the first floor as well. And we went to that laundry room, and before we had stepped in there, he kept asking me, he's like, are you scared of me? And I was like, no, like why would I be scared of you? Yeah, oh my god. And I was like so weirded out. I was like, something's wrong, bro. And he asked me again before like we went into that laundry room, like if I was scared of him, and I was like, no, I'm not. And we went in there. He's like, he was like, a lot of people want to see me down, and I was like, okay, like
A lot of people wanted to see him what?
down. I don't like. Okay, yeah, it was like an Instagram quote. You know what I mean? Like it was like an Instagram caption. Like
Yeah,
a lot
like you know that 50 Cent song, Many Men, Man,
yeah,
Man. Wish
exactly.
death upon. I'm not finished. Wish death upon me. All right. It's kind of like that. A lot of people want to see you down. A lot of people, the
Yeah.
haters are out there. For everybody, if you don't know, the haters are out there. Continue, Carmen. I'm sorry.
Okay. Anyways, so he like was saying that, and then it was like folding like table right there, and I was like leaning against it, and he was like on the other side of it, and I was like, well, like how are you? Like, are you okay right now? What's going on? And he said, I don't know why you're not scared of me. And I was like, why would I be scared of you? And then he like pulls out a gun, and he like opens, it was like a revolver gun. Like I knew what kind of gun. I was in my mind, I had watched so many crime shows, so I was like, get every single detail that you can right now. You need to know exactly what's going on. So he like opened it and he like twisted it to show me that there was like bullets in it, and then I noticed that there was like two or three missing, and and he like literally was like, yeah, like, you know, I know where you live and I know who you're friends with, I know your connections too, I know your cousins, and I know everyone around you. And I was okay. And he was like, I know what you're doing. And I was like, what, like, are you good? Like, I did not know what was going on at that moment. I just kind of like froze. And that's what I noticed that I do when something is happening, is what I like said earlier. Like, I didn't know what was going on. I just like zoned out. And he like tried to point it at me, but he couldn't because he was so unstable. And like, he's like, are you scared of me now? Are you scared? And I was like, no, I'm not scared of you because I know that I've never done anything to you to deserve this. And he got really mad and he just like got up and like left. He was like literally, he looked so mad as he was like walking out the door. And I was like, are you okay? And I don't know, like looking back on it, I was like, bro, shut the fuck up. Like, you cannot be over here going after him or asking him if he's okay. Like, you know, just let him go if he wants to go. And he like went back in his car and he left. And I heard a lot of things about like when he was arrested that I wasn't the only victim. So he did some stuff after. I don't know, like I respect the family a lot, and so I don't know if I'm just trying to say what I went through because I don't know if they're still dealing with everything like that. You know what I mean? But I didn't press charges. I just, the next morning, I went to go to the police and tell them like what happened. Reporting, that's the word I was looking for. So in the morning I went to report it. Well, the first things that I did when it happened, I just waited for him to leave, I guess. And the window of my bedroom, you could see where they park. So I like went to my window and I was trying to see if he had left, and he did leave. And then I called like my friend and I told her like what had happened or whatever. And I was just like numb. Like, I just didn't feel anything in that moment. I was just really scared. And then the adrenaline started to wear off and I just started to like have a panic attack. And then I called like the person I was with at the moment, and and I guess I just wanted to tell anyone because I didn't know what to do in that moment. So I just like told my friend and I told my partner or whatever, and then I went to report him in the morning.
You had a partner at the time,
Yeah, I did.
and this is probably a little deeper question because for the viewers at home, the first few episodes we talked about so much trauma and just I would even just say it as toxic men, considering like the pedophiles and your biological father. No disrespect to him either. There's so many toxic men. And now you're talking about this friend who you say you've known since like middle school, you know, and he just tried to intimidate you, or I don't even know what to call it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that because I want to know what the details were. I'm sure Michael looks intrigued. But so you had a partner at the time. What was it about sort of having a partner that helped you sort of go through this? Because in my mind, here's my train of thought. If bitches were not shit to me, excuse my French, and a female came up to me and tried to kill me or intimidate me, I would at that point in my life I'd be like, fuck women. I'm not even trying to deal with no females, no girls. I'm better off by myself. But obviously that wasn't your case so much. So what was it so much about maybe this particular person, or what was it that made you sort of trust this person and not the other men in your life that have come across, so to speak? Does that make sense?
The thing is, I still didn't hold it against the person that did it to me. Like, I didn't, I wanted him to get help. So it didn't really affect the way I viewed the other men in my life at that moment.
Okay.
But it definitely, like, shook me to a point where I was like, what did I do? And I did go to, like, a little bit of counseling after. So the state provided that counseling. And then they, like, sent me a letter in the mail saying that I was, like, legally, medically frail for a year. And I think that's, like, I don't know what that means, but like they gave me a paper and they're like, here, Like, show this to your employer, show this to people like your school or anything like that when you're having trouble. And it was literally like the state of Michigan telling me that I was declared medically frail. And uh, I went to counseling, and I saw that it was like when COVID started to first happen that the court finally got to, nothing happened, but so much time had passed, and the court finally decided to like do a Zoom court meeting, I guess.
Okay.
And it was so hard because I didn't see the same person like my friend. Like, to this day, I think I saw him for the first time since that happened, and this happened like 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I believe like 4 years ago, and I like froze, and I called Manny actually after. But I like literally was like working out, and everything was like going good, and I just saw him, and I just like froze, and I don't know why, but I feel like it's a fight or flight thing. Like I went through that, and I hadn't seen him since then, so it was like really rough to see him. And I would think that I would see him in other places, and I'd be like with my partner, or I'd be at work, and I wasn't able to. I would be working, right, and I was like in customer service, making food or whatever, and I would see men, and I would think that they were associated with him, and that they were there to hurt me, because he did like tell me, he's like, I have connections, like watch. He like told me that he would either way find a way to kill me. Like, that's what he told me. So if I told anyone, and so like I took that very seriously, and I didn't know that those responses were trauma responses until I would share it like with the counselor or with like my friend, and she'd be like, that's not normal. So
I didn't think that your story could get any wilder after both your parents leaving their partner and having you. This is beyond me. And
yeah.
I'm sitting here and I'm listening to this story for the first time, and when I hear it the first time, it just sounds like, okay, he's high, he's drunk, blah blah blah, maybe down and depressed, whatever the case may be. Time has passed, and that was going to be my question. You kind of came to that point that you did come across him, because I was going to ask, did you ever come across him to where maybe it wasn't a moment of where he was down and depressed and drunk and high, to where you got clarity on what really happened?
No. And I don't think I want it. I just am terrified of him.
Do
Like,
you think?
I
Do you think though that it was like a drunk, high, depressed kind of thing, or do you think there was more to it?
Well, they declared him medically unstable.
Is he
So
white? Was he white?
no.
Because the white people always get that medically unstable, mentally challenged. I don't know what it is with the courts
Yeah,
and white people.
he had some like um mental health issues, and he was declared schizophrenic.
So you speak on mental health issues, and I'm just looking at everything that's happened to you. So out of all the toxic kind of men that have come into your life, and this situation in general, how has that like played a role? How has that affected you in your mental health at that stage of your life? Obviously, you're like kind of fragile, where you're kind of jumping uppy with people around you because you don't know who he's associated with. But did it really take you down a level, and if so, how so? Like, how did that affect your everyday life, and how did you recover from that?
I don't think, to be honest, to this day, that I'm still 100% fully recovered. Like, there's things that I still do that I know are because of that. Um, I definitely, after that happened, was very, like, just scared of everything and everyone. And I would not go anywhere if it wasn't with my partner to work, and back home, and with my family. And I would be, like, walking inside after work, and I would be looking behind me, and I wouldn't be able to go into the laundry room for like a while after, and I would have to like look away from the TV or like any video game or anything that showed like guns, or like a type of gun, that the type of gun that he had. So it definitely to this day still like affects me in a lot of ways that I don't realize. Like, I still, when I'm walking inside my house, I don't live in the same place, but when I'm walking inside my house, I definitely have so much anxiety, and I'll either call Manny or I'll call Max, my other cousin, or I'll just be on the phone with someone while I'm walking inside, because like I'm still scared to walk inside because of that same reason.
And what do you think needs to happen for you to lose fear? Because you can't live scared the rest of your life. I mean, I know some people choose to, but as somebody who cares about you, and I'm sure Michael feels the same way, you can't live scared the rest of your life. We don't want to see you live scared the rest of your life. So, what do you think needs to happen in order for you to lose that fear? Because you've already encountered him. That
Mm-hmm.
didn't help, you know. And Michael's question was, did you ever get clarity or closure? And you say you don't want that. So what sort of needs to happen? I mean, I'm not saying not to go out there and kill him, because no, we do not condone that either. But what needs to happen in order for you to feel sort of safe again? I mean,
I feel like
well,
uh,
why are you at? This is a serious. Okay, you know what? Let's.
I know. Oh my god. Okay. I feel like I
Uh,
need a therapy for real. Like I need a, I need to like I still have the state offered me I think 100 hours of therapy and like counseling. I think I only used like maybe like 10, 5, because I
okay.
only it's like 1 hour sessions. I went like 5 to 10 times around that, but I just felt numb after that. So I definitely feel like right now I feel a lot safer. I at the same time like talking about it, like my hands are getting sweaty, and you know what I mean. So I
Sure.
definitely catch myself, but I definitely am in a better place than how I was back then, of not even taking male customers. I would like tell my partner who worked with me, I'd be like, hey, like, can you take him? Like, I can't. And it got to the point where like I was scared of men just in general,
Mhm.
but I give him the benefit of the doubt, like the person who did it to me. But my main question, I remember like asking my counselors, like, why me? Like, what did I do to him? I had never like talked bad about him. I had never disrespected him. I have never like said anything or done anything. We had never gotten in an argument or a fight or anything. So I was just always like, bro, what did I do to you? You know, I was a good friend to you. And that's I what is a biggest learning point and like turning point was around that time that like my counselor would say, it doesn't have to be necessarily like purposely you were just there and convenient for what he was going through at that time.
So I guess another way to rephrase my question would be, at the beginning, when you were beginning to tell us this part of your life, this story in particular, you sort of talked a little bit about advocacy for gun rights or gun control, so to speak, right? And how do you, what do you think that means to you? What does that even, how does that factor into this story? Because if he was diagnosed with a mental health problem, you know, that's a little bit on a different note other than health, than gun control. It's related, but it's on a different note. And you know, a lot of women carry, you know, concealed weapons with permits. I know Michael carries a fleshlight. That's FLE, fleshlight. So like, what is that? How does that tie in here? Gun control and your particular story.
So to me it's just that my entire time since that happened to now,
Mm-hmm.
so many things have happened with guns and just, I guess, irresponsible people and unsafe people being able to be provided those guns, because I'm pretty sure that they didn't buy them legally, because
Sure.
I feel like it should be harder to own a gun and it should be more in-depth process to have a permit rather, you know. But I feel like that's just me speaking as someone who has first-handedly been a victim of it, as well as seen people around me, closest people, you know, be victims to the point where they were killed. So I'm definitely an advocate for that.
I'm looking at like many of the things. I mean, just not even to connect this to your story and your life, but just in general, because I think that we're in a time where mental health and gun violence is synonymous with each other. And you and I are currently inside of Michigan, and so looking at that, and you know, I hate to bring it up because you don't want to give this person popularity, but we had a recent school shooting in Oxford, and
Mm-hmm.
people's life, and then that deals with, you know, the having the gun, the mental illness, and everything that led to people doing these heinous things. So I was just curious, aside from your life and your story of, what's your viewpoint on the connection with mental health and gun violence?
I feel like they need to be worked on separately, but then again together, because the first thing is there isn't enough mental health like resources. Um, and I feel like if people had a lot more resources for mental health, that they would strive away from guns itself. And with guns in general, like I said before, I feel like there just should be more in-depth process to owning a gun legally and making sure that the person who owns it is responsible enough and okay enough mentally to own.
Now, my follow up question to that, especially with your answer to this question, is the fact on mental health. You said that you had gone to counseling. So you say that there should be more options for them. So this is kind of a two-part question. Did the going to counseling help you? And then number two, what do you think some of those other things should be for those that are suffering from mental health as a way to recover?
Um, so I think it definitely did help in some way. Speaking about it to someone who just wasn't someone close to me, so that they could let me know where I was like feeling or like reacting to it too much. Not reacting to it, but like thinking I was a way or a shape of me being a bad person. So I thought that I had done something to him, and I was trying forever to find out what I had done to him for him to do that to me. And it just came down to, someone third party, aka the counselor, to let me know that I was not silly for thinking that, but just a third perspective to let me know that it was okay that I felt that way, but it wasn't a way that was healthy for me to tell myself, because even if I was another person, he would have still found someone else to do it to.
And I sort of gotta speak on that, and there's a follow-up question because I said that gun control and mental illnesses were two separate pages, and Michael brings up the good point that they are almost synonymous with everything going on in the world, And when I think about gun ownership, and you think, and you mentioned it, Carmen, yourself, you said some of these people are getting guns illegally. They're getting guns off the streets, especially, and Michael can speak on this too. In Detroit, it's easy, or Carmen's native land of Chicago. Getting guns off the streets is easy. You look for a crackhead, and he'll sell you a gun for $20. I am not kidding. And it brings me back to a story because I had a homie who was killed when this was like 6-7 years ago. That's not the point. And he was killed on a basketball court, and he was killed on a basketball court over a basketball game. And it brings me back to this question, this question, because, and I hate to do this, and I know Michael sort of likes to get me started on this topic, but when we talk about race, and that's why I asked you, was this man or young man that frightened you white? When we talk about white men and gun ownership, they always get off the hook. Mental health, good lawyers, they got the money to pay bond, whatever. But when you talk about gun ownership and black men or Hispanic men, in our case, it always ends up in jail, or dead, So how do you think race sort of plays in? Because you're Mexican American, you were born in the States, you can definitely have gun ownership, through the right processes, but you also know the street aspect to it as well. So how do you think race comes into play here, specifically because you already lived through a traumatic experience where it wasn't a white man who had a gun and misused it against you, but was also sort of labeled unfit to stand trial, or was mentally unable to, and he wasn't, put away or shot to death. So how do you think race plays into that sort of aspect of gun control and mental health illnesses?
That's a deep question, bro. So I feel that race definitely plays into it. Like you said, I feel like a lot of the instances where white men are arrested for it definitely it makes me so mad because, like, in the aspects of like that guy shooting up, was it like the Capitol or whatever, like at protesters and stuff like that, like he is now viewed as a person who is looked up upon, and it like makes me so angry because there was so many victims there that lost their lives as well as like got mentally damaged, and then he tried to cry at the funeral and plead insanity, and he played the part good
Oh,
because
she's talking about Kyle Rittenhouse, right? The one that crossed state lines. Yeah,
so much out, but yeah,
yeah.
you know who I'm talking about. Yeah, so like I feel like in this instance where it happened to me, I knew that something was wrong. Like I said, I didn't press charges. I wanted him to get help. I knew that something was wrong with him because he wasn't like himself. And my first priority in my head was, I hope he's gonna be okay. Because at the end of the day, that was a friend. So I feel like when it happens like this, race is definitely a very big factor because I feel as if the same energy they keep with Hispanics and Black people of color in general, where they use guns as protection, whereas white people use it as like, yes, people use like white people use it as protection, and that's okay. So I'm not trying to generalize, but they are let off easier in the eye of the law because of their skin color. So I feel like it should definitely have like looked over.
Right, right. Okay.
But there it is. I think that this is an intriguing story of events of different things that have happened to you inside of your life. Um, you know, I have grown up inside of, I would say, a good neighborhood, gone to good schools and everything, but I still have come across like that gun kind of violence inside of my life, whether to me, whether to friends, um, and so it's a tough thing. It's something that needs to stop. I mean, everyone has one life. You can be upset, you can have mental illness, but it still does not give anyone the right to threaten anybody's life. And
Exactly.
I think that if you have that mental illness, that you should seek that help. So my last kind of question is, what do you give as advice to people that have or could possibly go through that? Because like I said, I've dealt with it. I'm sure many people have dealt with it. What advice would you give them, and what do you feel like you could have or should have done anything different during that situation that you dealt with?
I'm really hard on myself after that happened because I felt like at the time I still feel the feeling that I felt back then. Like a little part of me understands it, but I felt like I could have avoided it definitely if I just, it sounds selfish, but if I just minded my business and let him go through whatever he was going through, and for me just to not have responded when he was acting like that. And to this day, I feel like that. But at the same time, like when I spoke to that counselor, he didn't choose me specifically. He was just in that, manic episode. And I just was happened to be there. And I feel like a part of me is also proud of myself because I was actually there to try to help him. Like my intention wasn't bad, you know what I mean? Like I didn't sign up to be, for that to happen to me. I didn't know that that was going to happen to me. I just took it a certain way at the time that I felt like I had deserved it, and then I opened up to the idea of like, hey, you're a good person because at the end of the day, your intention was to be there for him, and he just reacted differently than you thought. It wasn't that you deserved it; it's that it just happened, and you can learn from that. Unfortunately, um, it took me another few tries to be able to be like, okay, like you are not men's mothers, you are not the, like healthcare workers, you aren't the person who everyone should lean on all the time, specifically men. So I needed to like check myself.
Well, there it is. This is the story of Carmen Hernandez. We have one episode left with you, and that's kind of to talk about where you're at now. But I mean, it just goes to show that after all of this, these climax, we're gonna start making the climax episodes a drinking episode. Like it's just a lot to take in.
I am so
And I mean, you've come so far. So after going through all this, I mean, to close out your last episode, the next following week is a way for us to find out where you're at inside of your life now and how you're coping, how you're dealing with stuff. And so, unfortunately, we do have to wrap things up. Manny does have to get back to facilitating things at the taco truck. And, I don't know. Obviously, he's still staying at the Red Roof Inn. I don't know what's going on. But it's neither here nor there. I want to remind everybody at home, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell, do all that jazz, and let us know what you guys think about the story, what you guys think about mental health, what you guys think about gun violence, as it's a reoccurring topic here inside of the world currently. So I think that it's definitely something that I want to hear what you guys think, what you guys want to speak on. But please, please, please subscribe. We have plenty of new things, a new look, a new feel coming here for the story of. It's just getting better and better, and this story is just one of the many that we've had. Carmen, thank you for being here with us today and sharing your story. Manny. All right, well, okay. Thank you, everybody. We'll check you guys out next week.